I don't think it's controversial to say that Batman Beyond is a worthy successor to the phenomenal Batman the Animated Series. This was the third series produced by the mostly same team at Warner Bros. Animation, so by this point they knew how to make a good show. As such, the writing was both top-notch and the animation was crisp and clean. Midway through Season 2 they even transitioned to animating the show on computers rather than traditional hand-painted cells. So it's hardly surprising then that, broadly speaking, Batman Beyond was a great show. And I think that there are some truly standout episodes, and today I want to highlight 7 of my favourites. So starting off, we have Ace in the Hole. One of the reasons I rate this story so highly is because they fleshed out the concept of Ace the Bat Hound, which was a goofy idea ripped from the comic books of the 1950s. The comic book Ace wore a mask and a cape, while Beyond's Ace is a breed of dog that strongly resembles Batman anyway, so no costume was needed. Ace featured prominently in the show and was always loyal and protective of Bruce Wayne, and over time would come to show the same loyalty to Terry. Ace in a Hole is essentially Ace's origin story. As a puppy, Ace was sold to a criminal that ran a dogfighting ring, and we see Ace was trained to become a fierce fighting dog. Now, I'm more of a cat person and think that dogs are too high maintenance, but even I was moved by Ace's story. We are also shown how Ace came to become Bruce Wayne's dog, after Ace helped defend him from a Joker in Crime Alley. It's a genuinely moving story that shows how important Ace is to Batman and co. He's not just a dog or a possession, as Ace's original owner thinks of him. No, he's an integral part of their family.
Don't worry, boy. I won't ever let anyone hurt you again.
It's clear that Bruce and Terry are both anguished by Ace's disappearance, and their feelings of powerlessness and anger are palpable. Who'd have thought they'd be able to persuade me that Batman having a pet dog in the Batcave would be a good idea? Well, they did, and they succeeded spectacularly. Next, we have Rebirth, the story that kicked it all off, setting up the next generation Batman. Now, I'm counting both parts of this story as a single entity, but I think that the overall quality was consistent between the two episodes. From the moment the episode opens, we're shown the original Batman's last night as Batman. By now, you all know what happens. During a routine hostage situation, Batman has a heart attack and must draw a gun on a criminal in order to save his own life. Within those opening 2 minutes, we're shown a completely believable reason why Batman would give up on his mission. Not only was he no longer capable of doing it, but he was no longer worthy, and as such he locked himself away in his mansion for decades. Enter Terry McGinnis, a street-smart, tough teenager with a heart of gold whose father is murdered at the orders of the villainous Derek Powers. Terry takes the Batsuit and sets out to bring Powers to justice, leaving Bruce Wayne to act as his mentor and guide from the safety of the Batcave. The writers could have very easily fumbled the character of Terry, but I think they did a great job introducing him and making him pretty likeable. Yes, his first meeting with Bruce and subsequent discovery of the Batcave is a little contrived, but they only had 20 minutes to set this up in the first episode. Overall, Rebirth is an excellent start to this wonderful series.
Very good then, Mr. McGinnis. Welcome to my world.
Sneak Peek is my next pick, and this is one of the later episodes of Batman Beyond, but it sees Batman's secret identity being uncovered by an unscrupulous tabloid journalist who intends to air his secrets on live television. Unbeknownst to everyone else, the journalist, Ian Peake, also has a secret. He had stolen an experimental belt from Wayne Powers that would grant him the power of intangibility. However, through overuse, Peake is now unable to control his own tangibility. There's a wonderful scene at the end of the episode where Bruce visits Peake. Peake loses control of his ability and starts to tumble through the floor of the building. Bruce learns that Peake had killed the scientist responsible for the belt and burnt the lab down to cover his tracks. So when Peake pleads for Bruce's help, he calmly refuses and walks away, leaving Peake to his dreadful fate. This is a neat contrast to Terry, who, despite the fact that he was about to have his life ruined by Peake, still tries to help him. But there's nothing he can do but watch as Peake slips through the ground on a journey to the centre of the earth, where he will likely perish. It's almost like Peake is being dragged to hell for his sins, and the reality of the situation drives him mad.
That's the trouble with this business. You meet so many liars, you forget what sincerity sounds like. Want to say it all again while I've got the camera running?
Beautiful stuff. Next we have The Call. This two-parter has the distinction of being the first DCAU appearance of the Justice League, which is pretty cool. Superman comes to Gotham to ask for Terry's help in rooting out a traitor in the Justice League who has been picking off members one by one. Right from the outset, the other members of the League, Green Lantern, Warhawk, Big Barda and Aquagirl, are suspicious of Terry, and some of them are outright hostile towards him. Of course, it would transpire that Superman was the traitor, but he was under the control of the cosmic parasite Starro, a deep-cut reference to his cameo appearance in the Superman the Animated Series episode The Main Man. The ending of Part 1, with Bruce opening a secret section of the Batcave, going through multiple layers of security to give Terry kryptonite, and most importantly, permission to kill Superman, is one of the series' strongest moments.
This could kill him, right?
Do whatever it takes, but make sure you stop him.
Part 2 is a little bit weaker than Part 1. Once the twist is revealed, all that's left is for the Justice League to try to subdue Superman, but it has some wonderfully creepy imagery with the Justice League walking around with Starro's babies on their faces. Starro's plan was to take out the Justice League and then allow his offspring to take over everyone else on Earth, but I have to wonder why Starro didn't just possess the Justice League and then continue with his plans. But hey ho, don't let that get in the way of your enjoyment of this spectacular episode. Next we have Out of the Past, another Bruce Wayne-centric episode, featuring a returning BTAS villain with a disturbing twist. Is it any wonder it's so near the top of my episode list? On Bruce Wayne's birthday, he is visited by Talia al Ghul, who offers him access to the Lazarus Pits to restore his youth, her argument being that he's too brilliant to fade away and die. After some soul-searching and a near-fatal accident, Bruce agrees to take Talia up on her offer. There's something quite thrilling about seeing a younger Bruce Wayne teaming up with Terry, and it's funny to see that Terry just assumes he'd have to hand over the Batman costume to Bruce, despite Terry having earned the mantle of Batman several times throughout the series. But the real gem of the episode is the twist. Oh my god, that twist. Talia is not all that she seems. In fact, she's really her father, Ra's al Ghul, who had imprinted his mind on Talia, effectively killing her and stealing her body. Ra's, being the chauvinist that he is, plans to restore Bruce's youth and steal his body, effectively completing his plan of Bruce becoming his heir. When Bruce is captured, this provides Terry with the opportunity to demonstrate his worth as a hero, sabotaging Ra's machine and freeing Bruce in the process. Even when faced with imminent doom, Terry goes out of his way to save Ra's, who rejects the rescue and ends up perishing after trying to salvage his mind-transferring machine. The episode raises some complex questions about identity. Is Ra's still alive, even though his own body and mind were destroyed decades ago? Is Talia actually dead? Maybe that person isn't Talia or Ra's, but someone else entirely. All interpretations are equally as valid. And it really tugs at my heartstrings towards the end of the episode, where we see Bruce, who is starting to return to his proper age, looking over photos of himself and Talia at a happier time in their youth.
Rest well, beloved.
Moving from a heartbreaking episode to a terrifying episode, we have Earthmover. Now, Earthmover is easily one of the most disturbing episodes of any DCAU show. It's a clear love letter to classic horror movies and is genuinely frightening in places. Years ago, a man named Tony was caught in an accident while illegally disposing of chemical waste. Tony was presumed dead, and his business partner, Bill, would adopt Tony's orphaned daughter, Jackie, to raise her as his own in penance. Now Jackie is being stalked by towering men made from mud. Surprise, surprise, it's her father, now fused to the earth by the toxic chemicals, and an immobile corpse that has control over the very earth around him. He plans on getting his revenge on Bill, who he now believes intentionally harmed him in order to deny him his fair share of their profits, and to steal his family. I really don't feel like my summary does this episode justice. There's a lot more to it, and it's genuinely tense in places. The mystery surrounding these titanic mudmen is intriguing. They seem to be made of regular soil with no sign of life, so it's pretty surprising when they attack Batman. It's a morally complex story. Bill is very clearly in the wrong. He should have disposed of those chemicals safely. At the very least, he should have tried to get Tony help. However, Bill just assumed that there was no way to survive being buried under a ton of rubble and bathed in toxic chemicals. So, Tony is clearly well within his rights to be bitter. However, Tony's plan to force Jackie to live underground with him and to kill Bill is equally as wrong. Frankly, it's deranged. This episode also shows the benefit of hand-painted physical media in that the Earth Mover is painted as part of the background, while other characters are painted on animation cells. As part of the background, this gives Earth Mover a completely different texture, enhancing his otherness and the fact that he is a glowing, rotten corpse fused into the soil. And the only thing animated on him are his glowing green eyes. It's delightfully creepy and just goes to show how disturbing you can be without being gratuitous.
I've got a lot to answer for, but for God's sakes, let Jackie go.
She stays, and you die.
But my absolute favourite episode is Meltdown. Now, this will come as no surprise to anyone that regularly watches my videos. I talk about this episode at almost every opportunity. In fact, I should challenge myself to not mention this episode when I next talk about Batman Beyond. It's another episode that brings back an established villain from BTAS, and arguably one of the villains most synonymous with that show, Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze was completely reimagined for Batman the Animated Series as a tragic, heartbroken zombie snowman of sorts. His appearances in Batman Beyond act as the final word on the character, giving him a heartbreaking, definitive ending. Batman Beyond villain Derek Powers seeks a way of ridding himself of his radioactive condition. And one treatment proposed is that they clone him a new body, edit out the mutated genes, and then transfer his mind over. However, this is an experimental treatment, so they'll need to test it first. Enter Mr. Freeze. Freeze has been kept in the basement of Wayne Powers for decades as a head in a jar, and he is offered the chance to start over with a new body. At first, the treatment seems to be successful, and with this second chance, Freeze dedicates himself to charity in atonement for his crimes as Mr. Freeze. When a past victim tries to murder him, Freeze insists that the man be let go and apologises to him for all the damage he has done to him as Mr. Freeze. Maybe Freeze truly has turned over a new leaf, but Bruce Wayne remains unconvinced. Sadly, Freeze's happiness is short-lived. When he does begin to revert, Powers orders him killed so that they can examine his organs, and Freeze does not take this betrayal lightly. He returns later that night with a new suit and proceeds to kill his doctor, tries to kill Powers, and then blows himself up, along with anyone else that was still in that facility. If Batman Beyond was your first Batman cartoon, I can understand why this episode may not hit the same way for you, but I have been there every step of the way on Mr. Freeze's journey, from his new tragic origin in Heart of Ice, his chance at salvation in Sub-Zero, and his bitter despair in the new Batman adventures. I honestly think that Meltdown is the perfect ending for this bitter, twisted man, and really pays off for long-time viewers of the DCAU. This is a perfect example of what made Batman Beyond so good.
We were only trying to help you.
Remember, there might be some momentary discomfort.
Alright, that's my top 7. I chose 7 episodes because a top 10 would be almost a fifth of the entire series, and perhaps that's a bit too much. I'm certain that not everyone is going to agree with me, and that's completely fine. The world would be a boring place if we all liked exactly the same things. Let me know your favourite episodes in the comments below.